Hi, I'm Gati, and welcome to our story on creating a realistic desert in Unreal Engine 5.4. First, we will see how to procedurally create the desert dune. Then, we will create a sand material and see how we can blend it between sloped and flat area. We will make use of the new feature in 5.4 using nanite and displacement to create 3D wave with our sand material. To break up the repetitiveness of our material, we will go over a few techniques to make it seamless. Then later, we will see how we can simply add footprint and footstep sound to our player character. We will discover how we can add layer and beautifully blend them using displacement. Lastly, we will create a simple material function that is very easy to use to blend all static mesh with our landscape. And if you want to support this tutorial series, you can join my Patreon. However, this video will still be uploaded for free on my YouTube channel. Hi, it's Kati, and welcome to the part 2 of this tutorial series on how to create realistic desert. So now we actually gonna try to break up the repetitiveness of this texture, so this material. So we want to using a texture which is gonna be use a cloud mask, so a cloud noise. We're gonna use this to mask some area. So we are basically gonna try to make some area flat and some other with wave. So it's just gonna help break up this the repetitiveness of this texture. First, we're gonna bring a texture sample. So I'm gonna hold D, left click, and bring a texture sample. And from there, we are gonna select the texture sample, and we are gonna look for noise, and we're just gonna select one of the noise texture that we have over there. So I'm gonna use the tiling noise 05 for this case. Of course, you can use like whatever noise that you want. It's just gonna we are just gonna use the black and white value over there to help us creating this mask. So now we're gonna bring a texture coordinate, like so, a multiply node, and a parameter. And we're gonna name this as tiling mask, like this. And I want to create a group for this new parameter. So this one's gonna be the mask. And so this is going to be the first one, the tiling, and I want to apply this into the B socket and this into the A socket and plug that into the UV socket. Okay, we want to take the chip contrast node and we are going to plug the RGB result into this socket, and we're going to bring another parameter, and this one's going to be the contrast mask, like this. So we are going to add some value to this, so 0.05 as default value, and the contrast will let this as 0 as default. Okay, so right there, one thing that we want to do so, we are actually going to use so the same parameter that we have over there. So I'm actually going to take this, Control C, and I'm going to paste it right there, like so. And I want so the same, which is going to be a slope displacement in here. And so here I'm going to take everything, Alt C, and this one is going to be so break up repetitiveness. So now we're going to take two lerp node. So here you can look for lerp, so linear interpolate, or you could just press L, left click to bring that. And so from there, I'm actually going to plug this into the alpha socket, and I want to duplicate this as well. So this one's going to be for the normal, and this one's going to be for the displacement. So I'm actually going to plug that into the normal and this one into the displacement. And I want to take this result, the chip contrast, inside the alpha. Okay. So now I want to put that over there into the A socket. So we want to have this result into both of the A socket of the lerp. And now I want to take this parameter and put that onto the B socket right there. And I want to take this result and plug that into, I can actually do a reroute node, so it's going to be easier to see. So this is going to be the normal flat, and I'm going to bring that over there like so and plug that into the B socket. And so now I'm actually, to see it better, we're actually going to take the result there and plug that into the base color. So I actually forget to do one thing, is that I want so the normal, so the base normal, to be in the B socket, and so the normal flat to be in the A socket, and the same for these. So this one need to be there, and this one need to be there. And so now if I go on my landscape, so of course this is not the base color that we are going to use, but it's just to showcase, because we are using so the cloud noise texture in the base color. We can actually see where this so cloud texture, where we have white and black area. So whenever there is black, there will be no normal and there will be no displacement, and whenever it's white, there will be so displacement and normal, like so. So actually, if we go in here, we can now see what this parameter does. So of course the tiling, it's just control basically the tiling of this texture. So of course, if I lower it, it's going to be, if I increase the amount, it's going to be, I think, not enough big for this purpose. So I might want to lower it, not too much, not too extreme like this, maybe 0.03. And in the contrast, we can just increase the contrast, not too much, because we are going to see too much sharp edge between those two texture. So let's see with the base color on. So let's bring this result back to the base color, hit apply. And so now, as you can see, we cannot see the cloud noise anymore. But as you can see, we are start getting those wave only in some area, so using this cloud texture. Of course, one thing that you can do is you can add more of those cloud. So you can just repeat this process by adding a new one. So with a different tiling, of course, and just adding on top of this lerp. So just take a new lerp and just add this on top of it. But we will do with this for now. And I think it's really helping to break up this tiling. And of course, we can change the tiling and do as much change as we need to create so the material that we need and that we want for our project. Okay, so now we are going to create a material function. And so this material function is going to try to so take the data from the base color, and we are just going to blend with various color to just making, because right now the landscape, so our material is only using one base color, and of course we can see the repetitiveness because of it, because everything it is the same color. And so one thing that we want to do is we want to use a texture to blend between various color of this base color that we are actually using. So let's do it. So I'm gonna go in my content drawer, and in here, so in the desert tutorial, we're gonna go in material folder and create a material function. So this one's gonna be mf for material function underscore macro variation. So in here, we're actually gonna take so this texture that I'm gonna put in the description to download. You can use cloud noise, but I found that this texture just feel more realistic to blend with. So we're just gonna use this texture, but of course it's up to you to create your own noise texture to blend this, or just use one that you can find on the content drawer by default. Okay, so let's go inside the MacroVariation function. And so in here, we are gonna drop this texture sample. And from there, I'm just gonna select it, and I'm gonna control D twice to duplicate. And now I want to take a texture coordinate, duplicate these twice again. I'm gonna take a multiply node, add node right there. And so I'm gonna duplicate these twice again, and this one as well. And so now we are gonna plug all of the socket together. And so now we are gonna multiply the results. So I'm gonna bring two multiply node. So this one is gonna be it's gonna multiply by this one, and from there we're gonna bring a constant tree, change all the value to be 0.5 on all of them, like this. Now I'm gonna take a lerp node, and so I'm gonna plug this into the A socket, and I'm gonna keep the B socket as 1, and so this is gonna be the alpha. And in here I'm gonna plug the result there, like this. Okay, one thing that we can actually do is we are gonna create another parameter. So I'm just gonna bring another multiply node. like this, and I'm going to create a parameter, so not an input function. Of course, you can add an input function, so function input, like this. So this has to be a scalar, of course, and you can name this as you want, but I'm just going to use a parameter for this. It's more simple, but of course, feel free to use the function input. And so in here, I'm just going to rename this as tiling macro variation. And so its default value is going to be 1 for now. And later, so we can change the overall tiling of this. And so now we are gonna, so the purpose of this is actually we are taking, so the same texture and we're applying a different scale of it. So they're just being added on top of each other. And so with 3 texture, we are just creating a more randomness texture only using this one. So this one's going to be a 0.2 and random number. This one's going to be 0.05 and random number again. And this one has to be 0.002, like this. And now we just want to add 0.5 on all of them. So you create an offset like this. And I think that's it for this material function. So let's apply and save. And now we can go back on our material. So in here, just gonna add this. In here, we're actually, so with all of this, we're applying this into this reorg node. So everything in here is basically everything that we created so far. And so from there, I want to take this information and I want to get the node get material attribute. And so basically we're going to take with this node all of this information. And from there, I'm just going to go, so while selecting it, I'm going to click this R element and I'm going to select the base color. And in here, I'm going to look for the set material attribute. So we're basically going to so do the same, the base color. And so I'm taking all of this information into the base color. So all the channel basically. And I'm just plugging that into the set material attribute. And now we want to modify something inside the base color. So now I want to apply my MacroVariation only to the base color. We want to add a multiply node. And I want to plug that into the A socket and this into the B socket. And now I'm going to take a lerp node, so L left click, and I'm going to bring a constant one. This one has to be 1. I'm going to put this value over there. And now we're going to take our MacroVariation material function and I'm going to plug the result into the B socket. And so in here, I'm going to create a new parameter. And so this one's going to be a MacroVariation. And so we are going to set its default value to 0 for now. And so I'm going to plug this result into the B socket and hit apply. Okay, and so now if I go in my landscape, so I don't think it's at 0 right now. As you can see, so this is without MacroVariation. And if I add some of it, let's say just 1, as you can see now we have a different base color. So we're basically using this MacroVariation texture, creating different pattern using this texture. To kind of like helping us to break this pattern, and it's really working pretty well. So of course, if you want to decrease the strength of this effect, you can just decrease the MacroVariation parameter that we have here. So of course here, so I'm going to lower this a bit. If you want to change the tiling, you can do. Me personally, I set it to 0.2, but by default it should be at 1 like this. And yeah, if you want to have different tiling to have different pattern, just change the tiling. And yeah, maybe one thing that I want to do, I maybe want to decrease the brightness a little bit like this. So we have this nice color onto our landscape. Okay. And so now we want to see how we can add layer on top of our base material. And so let's find out. So first, we're going to go in Quicksol Bridge, of course, and we're going to look for a material. So I think I'm going to take this one. So it is the same as the one that I download for my time-lapse video. So I'm actually going to download it again. And so I'm going to add it to my project. And so once we are in here, I'm going to go back to my material, and in here I want to take those 3 texture and drop it into my material so we can start to work with. So of course we want to take make material attribute again. So I'm just going to take this, Control D. So we are going to build up this texture basically. So for this layer basically. So I'm just going to plug the base color in here. Of course, if we want to have some some control over this texture, we might want to add some of these parameter and just change the name of the parameter. So I'm just going to control C those parameter like this. I'm going to take the flatten normal as well, like this. And lastly, I want to take the contrast and the displacement, like so. And so in here, I'm just going to plug the result in here into the base color, take this result, plug that here into the normal, and take the B socket again and plug that into the displacement. And once we are in here, we need to change all of the name of those parameters. So this one is going to be the rocky. So this is going to be the rocky layer. So I'm going to create a new parameter, a new group. And so this one's going to be the rocky layer group. And now I will do the same for all of those. Okay, so now I'm just going to take everything. And so this one is going to be the rocky layer, like so. And I'm going to take a reroute node. I'm going to create a reroute node. So add name reroute decoration node. And so this one's going to be the rocky layer. And so once we've done this, I'm just going to go in here into the result. So just before the output result, I want to bring the landscape layer blend. And with this, I'm just going to add two array. The first one, so I'm going to click on the index 0. I'm going to name it as base because we are still going to use the base color as the base. And the second one, this one's going to be so the rocky layer. And so in here, I'm just going to plug the result there, and I'm going to look for the reroute node that we did before and plug that in here. And now if I hit apply, so I'm going to go in landscape mode. And so here, I'm not seeing anything in there. So I might want to refresh everything. It's happened sometimes. So I'm just going to hit apply, just plug back the result and plug it again, and just hit apply again. And yeah, so now we have the two layer. So I'm just going to click on create layer info in there for both. So you have to click first in the plus icon and in weight plane layer normal. And then, so it's going to create a folder for you. So we just have to hit save and do the same for the rocky layer as well. So now I can actually so take the rocky layer while selecting the paint mode, and I can just paint on the floor. So whenever first time that you paint, this is gonna happen, but yeah, so you might want to change, of course, some of the setting that we have there. So for example, so let me go in selection mode and open this material instance. And so for example, the displacement, if you want to get that higher, or the brightness, and so those parameter. And yeah, if you want to blend between those two, you can just simply just have a low tool strength and just paint a little bit like this, and hold shift to just so remove some of the layer that you put. So it's just going to blend between those two layers. And yeah, and in case you're using a different material, which has not a lot of different base color on it, you might also want to go in here and just do the same as we did there. So basically, I'm just going to take these like so, and I'm just going to so get those two as well. And so do exactly the same as we did before, and just plug that in here. And you might also want to change these to be the rocky MacroVariation. So now you can also apply this MacroVariation to your second layer in case if needed. All right, so that's it for the part 2 of this tutorial series. I hope you enjoy watching this tutorial. If you have any question, just write it down in the commentary section. And yeah, so in the part 3 of this tutorial series, we are gonna implement RVT. And so using RVT, we're gonna create dynamic footprint onto our player character, and also we are gonna add audio to our player character. And at the end, we are gonna use the RVT to blend the landscape with our static mesh. I hope to see you there. Goodbye.